WWE has had a massive amount of releases, the most prominent one being Braun Strowman, but Aleister Black has gone, Lana has gone as well. Rumors are that they could be selling. There's all types of craziness going on. What do you guys think of all of this? Let's be very brief and try to wrap this up. Shredder, what do you think first?
Okay, well, I don't think WWE is up for sale. This has been rumored for many, many years now. I mean, there was rumors about it being purchased by USA Network in the mid-90s. Most recently, the sale rumor was that WWE was going to be sold to Disney. Now it's NBC Universal who are rumored to be buying them. I don't see it happening. They've still got, I think, about 3 years left on the contract with both USA and Fox for Raw and SmackDown. If there was going to be a sale, it would probably be towards the end of those deals. And on top of that, they've got the deal with Peacock as well. I think this latest round of releases was more financial. This was purely budgetary cuts. Now, it could be for more value for the shareholders, or it could be because some of these contracts were pretty big and they probably thought, well, the way things have been going the past year or so, we've not had a good enough return on the investment. Braun Strowman, for example, was rumored to be on about, I think, $1.5 million a year. Lana reportedly was
$500,000.
It was reportedly a couple $1 million over 5 years, which makes me think probably about $500,000, somewhere in the ballpark of about $500,000 every year for 5 years. So again, the WWE probably thought they weren't getting a good enough deal with that. I don't know why they released Ruby Riott. I don't know why they released Aleister Black, although Black did apparently request his release a while ago when he wasn't getting put back to NXT. It could also be the fact that WWE spent years stockpiling and warehousing wrestlers because they didn't want AEW to potentially get talent. I mean, they signed guys left, right, and center from the independent circuit purely to stop AEW getting them. And now they're probably looking at AEW's television figures, the fact that AEW has not cracked 1 million viewers consistently on its Wednesday night broadcast, and it's now moving to a lesser watched television network. It's moving to TBS next year. They're probably thinking, well, we don't really need to implement this strategy anymore, so we can start making some budgetary cuts here and there.
I apologize. The difference between TBS and TNT is actually negligible. TBS is in more homes than TNT, and they're pretty much equal networks by the company.
Okay.
One does more live. The reason why they're changing, quite frankly, is because TNT does more live sports, which conflict with AEW's their time slot. Right now, TNT has the NBA playoffs every single year, which take up about a month to a month and a half of the year. And for a channel to be hosting that it's not beneficial for AEW to have to change their time slot, 5 dates out of 52. It's not good.
And
TNT, but that's the reason why they're moving.
TNT,
they're all owned by the same corporation.
I was going to say that TNT is getting Wednesday night hockey. That's why AEW is being moved.
Excuse me. Yeah, exactly. And they're also getting Wednesday night hockey. The reason why that's happening is NBC is actually, WWE's main television partner right now. NBC is actually closing down their sports network. They have, as we saw, they have Peacock. And as a side note, WWE Network, at least on the Peacock, if you guys are subscribed to it, you better be thankful that you don't have Peacock because their user interface is a pile of garbage. You can't search by wrestlers. You can't search by episode. It's a complete clusterfuck as far as finding the content that you want. And the WWE Network was well more curated toward their content.
Okay.
Regardless of that, they're condensing their sports content, and Turner which owns TBS and TNT, all that. They're upping their sports content. So yeah, that's the only reason that AEW is changing networks. The networks are happy with AEW's performance and everything. I don't think that had anything to do with as far as that.
Right, because the thing is that Braun Strowman hasn't really gotten over to the extent that I think that a normal big man would do, because they put the championship on him. I don't think the numbers were even down, or they weren't really where they thought they would be with a guy that looks like that as their champion. Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy apparently were types of wrestlers that Vince didn't get, apparently, from all the reports.
Personally, I totally get all of that. The thing about Strowman that you said, like, he didn't get over as much as a big man like typically would, like I would like to know the example that, like, I mean, obviously not you in specific, like, but like, what example were they referencing when they thought about that? I mean, what big guy have they gotten over that's done, really well? Are we talking about? I mean, are we talking about Ryback? Are we talking about Great Khali? Are we talking about, Lord Tenzai? Recently at least, the WWE has not had a good run with big guys.
Okay, but
and we're talking about. So I'm sorry, and we're talking about a company that has been losing ratings perpetually for 20 years. So I think the WWE's expectations of Braun Strowman were not fair, in my opinion.
But the thing is that, like, usually when you've got a talented big guy and you put the strap on him, your ratings tend to go up. Like, if you look at, like, when you Andre the Giant, let's say, for example, or like, I'm trying to think of a guy like I'm trying to think of a big guy, like a Bam Bam Bigelow or whoever.
Yeah.
When they got the strap, the numbers would come because that guy's impressive. Yeah. You want to see somebody beat that monster that they've beat. And I think it's with Braun Strowman, they couldn't get people to care about it. And that was the problem.
While I understand, I'm sorry. I have to completely disagree with what you said. Your last statement. People cared about Braun Strowman in 2018, 2019. He was a monster, and people wanted to see him go on a run. I would also dispute the fact that you're saying, like, ratings are going, ratings go up when these guys get the titles. I think it's hard to compare that when you have an industry that is not only perpetually losing ratings for 2 decades, while in the same time slot in the same channel, except on TNN for a while, but having the same time slot and same channel for 25 years, and you're losing ratings for 20 of them is ridiculous. And then also, I think it's hard to tell Braun Strowman, why aren't you raising ratings when ratings not only are historically going down, but drastically going down because of the situation that they were in with the pandemic. And not only that, the trifecta of shitty booking, because Reigns dropping out of the main event of the previous WrestleMania, and they basically just gave Braun Strowman the championship because Goldberg wasn't going to carry it through a pandemic. And so, I mean, you basically set this guy up for failure and then tell him, well, what the fuck? It's basically a Glenn Jacobs situation when giving him Isaac Yankem and fake Diesel. I mean, what the hell? I mean, the guy had no chance.
As somebody who no longer watches wrestling, I'm part of that list of that, that 20 years of them losing ratings. I want to quickly read this thing that Block posted on the Nerd Nation. He says this: Punk knows the root cause of the problem, just like he knew what it was way back when the WWE serves an audience of one. If Vince doesn't get it and sees no way to make money, your favorite wrestler is probably dead in the water. There's an inherent conflict when a billionaire in his mid-70s who seemingly has no life outside of work try to determine what a younger generation thinks is cool. I mean, this is the same guy who didn't know about Scarface in 1992. As a result, WWE as a whole can't even find the pulse of its audience, much less put the finger on it. And yet here they are, still the envy of the wrestling world, with no end in sight. It's so true.
Yeah, I concur 100% with that.
Yeah,
I mean, just look at CM Punk, the Summer of Punk. Look how they blew that.
I mean,
yeah.
But the thing is with the whole Punk thing is that they did everything perfect until he won the title. Like the Money in the Bank, him leaving on the day his contract ended, that was all brilliant. But he literally comes back, I think, 2 weeks after he leaves. That was a wrong move. He should have been away for like 3 months, 4 months, maybe a year, and then he comes back to claim the champion. And basically, that's the story they build upon. Is like, when's Punk going to bow back? What can we do to get him back? And they try everything. Like, try, calling his number and stuff like that. I mean, they could have really built upon that and built interest. But the booking was terrible.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the thing. It's an audience for one. And when you're doing this, is what and this is what pisses me off about Vince, because he's so desperate to be entertained himself. He doesn't care that if other people are popular with other people, other wrestlers are popular with other people. He just doesn't care about that. So it doesn't matter how popular Punk is. It pisses me off.
I'll press on the point that was mentioned in the documentary we did a few days ago, when I think it's some. I can't remember who it was who said it. It says Vince has to be a fan before he'll push it.
It's Mick Foley. It's a Mick Foley biography.
Yeah, Mick Foley said that. Yeah, and that boiled my blood. But that's been common knowledge for a while, and it upsets me that they're still having to make a show for a man who's getting close to his 80s.
Well, I mean, it's been obvious for decades that WWE has pretty much been all about just entertaining Vince McMahon first and foremost. I mean, that's why you had things like Dr. Heine. It's why you had the Vince McMahon Kiss My Ass Club. It's why you've had the 24/7 title with R-Truth. This is all just for the amusement of Vince McMahon. He doesn't give a damn whether or not this moves the needle on the ratings.
I do. It's funny thing with Vince McMahon, he is at the same time willing to humiliate himself. I mean, I remember when fucking Shawn Michaels grabbed his head and shoved up Big Show's ass. I mean, what owner would do that to themselves?
Oh yeah, I mean, he's done plenty of things. Like he pissed his pants live on Raw.
Yeah, shaved his head on the highest grossing pay-per-view that he had for an 8-year stretch.
It's fascinating what it's the sort of stuff he's done. For the sake of for the sake of ratings. It's crazy. Anyway, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, I think the problem at the moment is there's no actual competition because the good thing about WCW, good, bad, or indifferent, is that it forced WWE to change and get better. When he went on that 83-week stretch, whatever it was, there needs another company, whether it be AEW, ROH, New Japan, whoever it is,
TNA.
to be TNA, whoever it is, to be that company that forces WWE to improve.
As far as I'm concerned, TNA ruined themselves the moment Hogan got involved. The moment Hogan got involved and they got rid of the 6-sided ring, I was done with TNA. I was absolutely sold out. I was done with them. Yeah.
I just want to get the conversation a little bit back more on the rails toward what we're the main discussion as far as WWE going to sell all that. I mean, Vince McMahon obviously is getting older. He has a family history of living very long lives. So I don't think Vince McMahon is unwell. I don't think he's planning his untimely demise or anything. I don't think he's planning on leaving us anytime soon. I don't think he's planning on leaving us anytime soon. But I do think
why would he sell?
Because I think that Vince McMahon, as egotistical and sometimes deluded as he is, I don't think he's stupid. And I think he sees, I don't know if it's necessarily the writing on the wall, but I think he sees the way that the tides are shifting and the way that the tides are going, and that while it wouldn't necessarily be hard to sustain this, this operation, like these profits and everything, I actually think he's coming finally to the realization, like, is it really worth it? Do I want to do this do I want to spend my entire life controlling, manipulating all this, micromanaging this organization?
He doesn't need to do any of that, but don't you think,
go ahead.
Go on. I was about to say, don't you think in his mindset should be, okay, retire and let my family take over? I mean, that should be it.
Personally, yes, but I don't think that. I think that's the type of person that Vince McMahon is. I don't think Vince McMahon sees it. I mean, I think he sees it as like he works with his kids and everything, but I don't think Vince McMahon sees it as an aspect of to pass it down. Go ahead.
He said on multiple occasions that he's passing the business on to both Shane and Stephanie. They will get the company divided between them.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I didn't. He at least comes off to me. He comes off as a person who's doing it more for themselves than they are for their family. And for someone like that, at least if it was me from that perspective, I would want to see the culmination or the fruits of my labor, like with George Lucas finally selling to Disney or whatever, I would like to see, you get that final evaluation or you get that final send off. You saw that with Turner with Time Warner. Turner didn't get one of those. Turner kind of got shafted at the end of his tenure. So I think that not that he necessarily saw what happened with Turner and wants to do it because of that, but I think that Vince McMahon is aware that shit can go for a downturn, and he's been on a pretty good run, and he sees where his numbers are. His company is the most profitable and everything and all that, and he doesn't have to worry about hosting. He sold his U.S. rights to Peacock. But I think he sees his fan base dwindling. He sees, his power, his sway as far as a businessman. He sees it lowering, and I think he just wants to capitalize on what he sees as, the best opportunity that he can get. I don't think Vince McMahon's going to have any more power than he does right now, and I think he's trying to capitalize on that.
For argument's sake, let's just say he does want to go down the selling route.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The moment he sells that company, what the fuck is he gonna do? What the fuck is the entire
he's gonna have another
do?
venture. He'll do something. Whether obviously he's not gonna do the XFL. He's not gonna do that because he's already sold that venture.
But I mean, World Bodybuilding Federation.
And seriously, honestly, he'll do some nutritional program. He'll do some. He'll try to get some bodybuilding network going. He'll try. I don't think he'll retire. I think you're always going to see Vince McMahon in some form or fashion, unless he has some, unless his final, ailment is something mental. You're always going to see him in the public eye doing something. Now, what I will say, as far as if they do sell it, for the valuation of WWE, I don't think you're going to see any major changes. The only major change that I think you'll see in WWE, obviously booking-wise, you might see something booking-wise change. But I don't think you're going to see this. I don't think you're going to see any change as far as like the corporatization of WWE or the lack of, wrestlers getting pushes or talents getting wasted. Because unfortunately, WWE, when you get to a worldwide company, you get to be bloated so much that it's almost detrimental to yourself. And I think a company that big and a company that has that many cooks in the kitchen, and especially if you get sold to an organization like NBC is the one that's purported right now. I mean, do you guys realize how many things are under NBC's wing? That would be like the BBC trying to buy WWE. There's going to be so much bureaucracy, so much head fuck, so much corporate bullshit to go through that I don't think that the product's going to have anything be more beneficial for it. You might get as far as better booking, but I don't think it's going to get a better situation for the wrestlers. I don't think it's going to get a better situation for the fans. And I think it's going to be, about the same. I think the grass is greener on the other side, unfortunately.
Okay, we'll end this now. But as we end this, let's bring this fucker in. Ending the show and he's gone. Okay.
Oh, no. Right. We had him for 1 second.
Okay. Well,
the vintage block bleeding switch.
All right. Thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day, everyone. Gary, Shredder, Jericho, thank you very much. We'll see you guys next week. Oh, actually, is there a biography coming up?
Oh, yeah, there will be. I don't know who it's on, but it'll be there.
Well, next wrestling documentary, you'll see us. Don't forget to subscribe to NerdTube. Bye-bye.
Any biography on Monday. Bye-bye.
Let's get ready to rumble!